Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin here with a Halloween special episode. And I thought a good one to do in this episode might be to look at the history of Halloween.
Yeah, I've always kind of wanted to know about that, but let's hurry it up because it's hot as hell in these guru costumes that I guess look more like dwarves. I don't know. They're supposed to be gurus.
Every year, millions of people around the country spill into streets, dressed as fairies, goblins, characters from their favorite movie franchise, and everything in between, partying and making mischief. But outside of a good time, how many know why they do it? Today, Halloween is a billion-dollar industry. But exactly how did it get there? While today Halloween is synonymous with commercialism, it wasn't always that way. The word Halloween comes from the words hallow, meaning holy person, and een, deriving as a contraction of Eve. And All Hallows Eve finds its origins all the way back in the time of the ancient Celtic pagans with the holiday of Samhain, a 3-day fire festival that essentially celebrated death and rebirth. The Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, Scotland, the UK, and parts of Northern Europe, based their calendar on the Wheel of a Year, essentially divided into two halves, the light and the dark. When one gave way to the other, this transition was marked by a fire festival. The word Samhain translates into modern Irish to summer's end. Samhain celebrated the dead, and particularly the celebratory feast paid homage to loved ones who had passed away recently, essentially as an invitation for their spirits to rejoin the living. Many of Samhain's original rituals have been lost, but what we
I know it sounds all creepy to be like, to say that, oh, they celebrated the dead. But it was probably more like, it wasn't like some creepy thing of like corpses or something like that. It was like they were celebrating like their family members, the people who've gone before them.
It's not uncommon. I never understood that growing up, why people were like, oh, why do you gotta, like when like sort of a conservative fundamentalist type person would be like, why do you gotta celebrate evil? I'm like, I don't know. First of all, it's not that uncommon. Like they got the Day of the Dead down south. It's not the only. There's different ways of celebrating. I mean, even if you go into a Gothic church, you see like Jesus up there. Usually super emaciated and tortured. Like it's in our psyche and it's in our environment to see, and almost like giving a time of the year to pay attention to that or observe those types of things for a select time kind of makes sense to me just intuitively.
It's amazing how removed we are from that in the West. We've really steered away from that. We don't like to talk about death in the West.
But in this melting pot world where all these cultures are coming together, there's kind of like more of an emergence of that happening. I was talking to somebody today that's like a spiritual person. They run a spiritual shop, and they were like, "Oh, this time of year, like everybody's ancestors are out and about. Like there's spirits and stuff." And she got emotional. She got like kind of emotional. She's like, "I'm gonna get emotional talking about this."
Jeez,
So for some people, very real.
Yeah.
do know of their holiday traditions from Celtic folklore and ancient Roman historians is that they were intended to connect them to spirits, including costumes, most likely animal or furs to help them hide from the unfriendly ones, feasting, and making lanterns from hollowed-out gourds, seemingly the birth of the modern pumpkin jack-o'-lantern. Sacrifices, generally of crops or animals, were made during this time as an offering to the spirits. It was popular for tricks or pranks to be played by humans and blamed on mischievous spirits. As a result of the Roman invasion, with most of the Celtic land being conquered.
It's funny how commercialized and like fluffy and cartoonish everything becomes. Because there's like, I've heard of like so many even Christmas time original traditions that were like Santa's an evil, spirit that comes and beats you with a stick if you're not good,
Yeah.
It's like so many things. It seems like the more time goes on, the more like cartoonish and like, we're getting further and further away from like a real regard of
Yeah.
the dark side of it or the trickster side of it, or it's gonna get you.
Yeah. I was thinking of that trickster thing. I was like, maybe this was like a time period or like an excuse to like get away with stuff you normally wouldn't get away with.
Yeah, like kind of like Purge time of year.
Yes,
or something,
yes,
you know?
exactly. Own version of the Purge.
Yeah.
Conquered by Rome in 43 CE, the spread of Christianity and Catholicism would force pagan Celtic traditions to evolve or be completely repressed. In part, many Celtic traditions and popular pagan practices were reframed to fit within a Christian narrative as a way of converting people with greater comfort and ease. Samhain would evolve into All Saints' Day, which was also referred to as All Hallows' Day, and was intended to be a day to celebrate the Christian saints and martyrs. Essentially, instead of honoring pagan gods and mischievous spirits, they now celebrated Christian figures. While the sacrifices were replaced by food offerings to the poor, the tricks and pranks continued, but instead they were now attributed to the spirits of the saints. Halloween evolved as a more secular version of All Hallows' Eve,
Tricky saints.
and eventually it would become more popular and common practice than All Saints' Day. While Halloween has its origins in the British Isles, there's a great disparity in its popularity in former British colonies. The Puritans who came to colonize America were Protestant and did not celebrate holidays of the Catholic Church, as they were believed to lead to idolatry. In the early days of the American colonies, celebrations of Halloween were mostly forbidden as they were deemed too pagan or too Catholic by the Protestant colonizers, though elements of it began to incorporate into secular harvest-related events in the 1800s. The mid-19th century saw a large influx of immigrants entering the country, especially Irish immigrants who were greatly impacted by the potato famine. With these people came Halloween customs out of which one of America's favorite holidays was formed.
I see a lot of apple bobbing. I was like, I remember they used to do that like when we were kids, but like I haven't seen that in for years, and I always hated it.
Oh, I was the
like,
last to sign up.
I'm gonna get soaked for an apple.
I was like,
I was
are they candy covered apples? Like, I didn't even like candy apples, to be honest. You know what I mean?
know,
Like,
I
you
know.
get that, and your whole bag gets sticky.
Yeah.
But-
And the person who gave out candy apples always ended up with apples all over the front of their house.
Oh, jeez. They're actually kind of delicious, but I don't know. They're a lot of work.
In keeping with the mischief, children would dress in costumes and be given money or fruit for artistic offerings like poetry, songs, or even jokes, instead of prayers. By the late 19th century, children were playing seemingly innocuous pranks on their small local communities. Adults would soon find incentive to dissuade children from playing pranks. Enter trick-or-treating.
The 20th century would finally see the commercialization of Halloween. By the 1920s and 30s, Halloween merchandise evolved to pre-made costumes for both children and adults.
After World War II in the 1950s, the economic boom had candy manufacturers getting on the Halloween bandwagon. Movies and TV are also largely responsible for the proliferation of Halloween as a mass-market holiday. Cinemas in the 50s offered scary movie festivals, and in the 60s, the new television industry began running Halloween specials during Halloween
I'm
season.
not gonna lie, the original version of Halloween sounded a little lame. Like you had to like recite a poem or something, or like
geez.
do a bunch of work. They boiled it down to its essence.
Yes. Oh yeah. I was like, get that candy and the horror in there. And
But you can see like the capitalization of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, like, and then the movies and candy industry got on board, and everybody was in cahoots, and it was.
it's incredible how much like people get into candy, or not into candy, into Halloween. My wife was noting yesterday we were driving around, and how many houses were like done up to the nines.
Oh, yeah.
like zombies and like things all over the house, ghosts and every decoration you can imagine. And then she's like, these people will take down their decorations after Halloween and won't put anything up for Christmas. It's like Halloween is like
Well,
the number one holiday.
I saw a meme that was like, it showed one. You ever seen one of those like 10-foot skeletons they got
Yeah.
on people's? It was like, she doesn't want a nice guy, she wants the 10-foot skeleton or something like
Oh,
that. Like
geez.
saying like you can afford the best Halloween decorations.
They're
or
getting
something.
bigger and better, man. There's like a 25-foot Grim Reaper in our neighborhood, man.
I know. Like we passed one line and there was like 3 of them, 3 giant things. Like,
By 2015, the National Retail Federation predicted spending on Halloween could reach $6.9 billion. Whether you believe that we've lost the meaning or not, Halloween has since evolved far beyond the days of pagan fire festivals. For more than a month out of the year, costume stores show up out of nowhere. Candy corn and Halloween-themed candies dominate whole aisles of grocery stores, and spooky shows and movies build out entire TV station schedules. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to dress up as a gruesome goblin or a sexy cat, or ignore the holiday altogether, Halloween has stood the test of time and proven itself as a holiday that's here to stay.
So do you like dressing up? Is that something you like to do at Halloween?
It depends. Sometimes I don't know. Not really. I don't dress up. Like sometimes I dress up on Halloween if there's like an adult party or something going on, which never really happens. But no, I just take the kids out and
I find it oppressive. It's so hot. Like I remember even when I was young and you'd go out like clubbing or something that, you'd have to get a costume and like it'd be like half off and sloppy by the end of the night.
Yeah, we were poor kids, so me and Justin were bums every year.
When we were
put your dirty laundry on and I'll put some mud on your face.
Yeah, like well, sometimes, I remember one year my dad he made me a Ninja Turtles costume. That was pretty awesome, like by hand, by scratch. But a lot of years it was like, I think there's some old nerd stuff or homeless person stuff.
Easy
pretty
costume.
Offensive by today's standards. You couldn't go as a homeless guy.
Yeah, I guess so. Probably not now.
You'd be like, let's put some drywall dust in your hair.
Yeah, but Halloween's a fun season. I don't know anyone who really gets into like the dark arts on Halloween. I don't know if they're like how much of that actually goes on.
Well, the darkest arts of the real dark arts, in my opinion, probably happens with like, rebellious. I know when I was a teenager, it was like, let's be bad. What are we gonna do that's bad?
Yeah.
So that's probably the most like for real trouble is just, and who knows what that is, man? Throwing toilet paper around. I don't even know if kids do that anymore. But
yeah.
But as far as like people like dabbling in serious dark arts, I don't like to think that that's like a real danger, because that means, what are you telling me? Some person could like do a thing to negatively affect me somewhere else? I don't know about that.
Yeah, and maybe there's some people out there like maybe there would be like white witches doing good things on Halloween to like, you know, so it's not all maybe negative.
Combating it. There's gotta be, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you do practice dark arts, don't do it to us.
Yes, please.
We mean well.
And for everyone out there, we wish you happy Halloween. Be safe out there with the kiddies. And if you like our video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone. Till next time,
Stay spiritual.